Hi. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Hot Combs and Popcorn Podcast. For those who don't know, my name is Bobby.
I'm Danielle.
And I'm Brianna.
And one of the things we like to do on this podcast is review movies and television shows in Black culture that we should have seen by now, but we just haven't. We're slipping. So that's why we're here. And at the end, we're going to discuss our thoughts and feelings as millennials, and we'll be rating these movies on a scale of 1 to 5 hot combs. So today, we're reviewing Shaft, which was written by Shaft 1971. Specifically, the original, which was written by Ernest Tidyman and John D.F. Black. It's directed by Gordon Parks, which I am quite pleased about. And it's starring Richard Roundtree as Shaft alongside Moses Gunn, Charles Cioffi, Christopher St. John, and Lawrence Pressman. Shaft was released July 2nd, 1971, so they're giving summer blockbuster. Mm-hmm. And it's rated R, as it should be.
As it should.
And it has a runtime of 1 hour and 40 minutes. Quick synopsis for those of y'all that are just here for the spoilers and for our unsolicited opinions. It's about John Shaft, who is the ultimate suave Black detective. He finds himself against Bumpy, the leader of a Black crime mob, and then against the Black nationals, and finally, the white mafia, who are trying to blackmail Bumpy by kidnapping his daughter. So we're on a rescue mission here. That's basically the whole movie. So yeah, let's get into it. What are our thoughts about Shaft?
It was boring.
Can I just say something?
It was boring.
What?
It was boring.
Whoever told us this was a comedy? Who told us that this was a comedy?
Because look, here's the thing. I've seen the second one. The second one is a comedy. It's like a drama comedy. What made them go that route? I don't know, but I wish the original did it as well.
We were bamboozled. We were led astray.
Lied to.
I was like, oh, it's going to be, it's funny. It was not. It was not. I think I got to the point where I was like, okay, this movie got to be over almost. And I checked the time and it said 55 minutes. And I was like, enough. This movie is not. For people to be raging about it like they do, I was like, it doesn't deserve. I digress.
It's boring.
I didn't think that it was that boring. I mean, I was entertained. Maybe I didn't think that it was boring because, like, I found myself being fixated on little things that didn't matter, which could have been what's the word? And the effect of me being bored. Yeah. Because I'm just like, I was hyper focused on like the words they were using, like their vocabulary, like the way that they were speaking. And then I was paying a lot of attention to the props. I just found myself just looking at the background, just seeing what's over there. Maybe that's because I wasn't paying attention to the meaning.
No, I was doing the same thing. I was doing the same exact thing. I was like, why is this man's mustache straight? Like he permed it.
I noticed that too.
I was like, did he perm his mustache? Like
that's literally all I was thinking. It looked like one of those mustaches that was taped on from like the party supply store. And I'm like, okay, I've seen a lot of Black men with mustaches. Yep. And I have never in my life seen a Black man with a straight mustache and curly hair. It's not adding up. Why is the mustache a type 1, but your hair is 4B? It doesn't.
Boring.
It's not adding up.
Because why are you saving this man's daughter? For what reason are you saving
him? For what?
Right. I think it's just
his man out the window.
Yeah. And he was like, I don't care about him. I'm like, sir, that was one of your guys. You don't care. He said, just get my baby back with his little tears and his little handkerchief. No, I was laughing because he was like dotting his eyes or whatever. And he was like looking up over his handkerchief.
Yeah, he was. I mean, I can't lie. He kind of did pull at my heartstrings a little bit. I was like, okay, I mean, she's a Black girl. I'm a Black girl. We'll get her. let's save her. And then the other guy, it wasn't Shaft, but I don't remember this man's name, but he was always there. And he was like, if you think that I'm saving your daughter just because she's black, I'm not. It's because of the money.
Was it Ben?
Who? What?
Ben Buford?
Sure. Yeah,
Okay.
it was. And so I think that could have been why Shaft was doing it. Maybe just because she's black. And then he also wants to get paid.
Mm-hmm.
Boring.
I didn't really even like some of the shots that they had in the movie. Like, I liked how they tried to do, like extreme close-ups and stuff like that. But then they would do like a super fast zoom on it, and then they would cut to another person, and then they would cut back. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, can we slow down for 5 seconds? Like, it didn't do it for me. I wasn't liking a lot of the shots.
There's a lot happening for sure. I don't know. I kind of like it though. I don't know. Like I like the one shot where I noticed that they were using like all wide angle lenses for the most part. Because I was like, I see the entire set right now, which I like. But there was one where they were in the office and then it was Shaft, Bumpy, and then Ben or whatever. And they were all talking, and then Bumpy got super close to the camera and like talked into the lens. I don't remember exactly what he said,
Mm-hmm.
but this was before the mission had like started. And I thought that was visually appealing. That was the only one where someone walked into the lens where it like went from a wide shot to a close up in a single take. So I was like, okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw Brie looks bored.
Because I was.
Yeah.
I don't.
She's like,
I don't even know what you're talking about because I think I was on my phone by then.
Oh my gosh.
And let me just say, what's his name? Richard Roundtree. Mm-hmm. Great actor. Love him in majority of the things that I see. He's currently in Family Reunion on Netflix. He's great as the grandpa. He's a very recognizable Black actor in this industry. I will say that the theme song for Shaft is something that I hear replicated all the time. I really love that it had a theme song. You don't see that a lot. And I love that whole opening sequence with him walking around the street. I think there was some aesthetically pleasing scenes in this. But the only interesting scene to me was the very end, when they went to go save the girl. And even that was like, fine. It just wasn't, I don't know. I haven't seen a lot of Blaxploitation movies, right? And I don't know if this is my introduction or if that's just not like a genre that I particularly find interesting. But it just wasn't interesting to me. I don't understand why. It was like he was low down dirty for no reason. Like, great, he was a detective, but like he was like cheating the police for what? For like it didn't make sense. It just didn't make sense to me. Why he was making this concerted effort. Yeah, but then he was also like pulling the string, the chain, his like lead person in command, and now we got like 5 mafias involved, and then he didn't even get the girl. He got shot. Like, what's like?
Yeah, he was like a corrupt cop for no reason.
For no reason. Yeah. And here we go, back to people cheating on their spouses.
Oh, with a white woman.
With a white woman.
With a white woman who they had a separate apartment. He's over here calling her baby. I'm like, first of all, it was going so well. It was going so well with the wife. I was like, oh, beautiful. Love. They have kids. He's wholesome, all this. Next thing I know, he's out here with a white lady calling her baby. And then when his wife, I love you. Yeah, I know. Take it easy.
Yeah, I was like, he said, yeah, I know. Take it easy. I was like, sir.
You can't even fake it.
At all. But okay, so here's the thing, right? I was confused because the lady with the kids, I didn't think that was the same lady as the girl he was sleeping with. Like, as his wife or whatever. I thought that was just a safe house that he was letting Ben or whatever his name is stay in.
Pretty sure it was Safe House.
Yeah.
I
don't
thought
think
the
he ever
light skinned
killed
woman
her.
was his girlfriend. This is the light skinned woman that came to him on the couch, and then at the end as well.
Mhm.
I think that was his wife. And
Oh,
then
wait. So there's 3 women?
it's the woman they
So-
stay with,
Mhm.
the Wahite woman, and the lighter skinned woman that had the cat suit thing on.
What? I definitely thought the light skinned woman and his wife were the same. Because they
The
looked.
woman in the kitchen wasn't light skinned though.
Was she not?
No.
Not- she was more brown skin.
Really? Well, I thought they were the same. Wow.
Because
I'm-
what was there to pay attention to?
I actually for like 30 minutes, I went down a rabbit hole, a very intense rabbit hole, because there was one, and it literally was so irrelevant, but I wanted to know. There was one shot. Well, no, multiple shots where Bumpy is on the phone. But did y'all notice he hit one of his phone? It was like the one that had like 2 parts. Okay.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so I'm stressed. I'm Googling all kinds of things like what year did this phone came out? What kind of phones people use in the 70s? I found out that this man was using a candlestick rotary phone from 1914. And now I'm like, how old is he?
No, I put that in my notes. I was like, it doesn't make any sense because my parents, when they were growing up, they would always tell me that they had like the dial phones or whatever.
Yes.
And so that's what I saw for like I think what's his name? Shaft or whatever. He had those type of phones. And on his calendar behind him, it said January of 1971.
Yes.
So I was like, why does this man have this old phone? What year is it? Things did
But
not.
I don't
add
think
up.
Bumpy
Things
and
in-
Shaft are the same age.
They can't be, because like when I tell you,
But still, 19.
the same thing. I was like, okay, so I'm Googling all kinds of things like what year is this movie taking place in? And then when I saw the calendar, Danielle, like right, it was literally right behind his head, right after
Right
I
behind
Googled
him.
it said January 1971. I said, okay, so this man's just old. He's got to
I
just.
don't think technology advanced as fast as y'all think it did. I
But
think
a
a lot
phone
of
from
people,
1914.
Yeah,
there was a lot of people in 1970 didn't even have a phone in their house. Like I don't think. I'm sure someone still had that. I'm sure, and I'm sure that wasn't like the last version of it that came out. Like just
man.
iPhones are from way beyond, but we have different versions of it. I'm sure they were still manufacturing that at least into the 1920s.
I'm not satisfied. I'm not.
No.
It was. I spent literally like 30 minutes, like doing all kinds of research on this fucking phone.
Imagine if you were watching this in the theater. You can't do Google research in the theater in the 1970s. You have to just sit there and watch this 2-hour movie.
And just be confused the whole time. I mean, but like the rest of the movie, like I was in it, you know. I was like, okay. Well, okay, no, it took a while. It was kind of slow. It took a really long time for him to start actually looking for the girl, you know. I would have loved if they gave us some more breadcrumbs, like more obvious breadcrumbs about her. I wish we had gotten to the fact that the mission was to look for her like earlier. And it's crazy because like normally you find out that a movie is only an hour and a half long and you're hyped. You're like, okay, cool, we're gonna be in and out. It didn't feel like that. I thought that this was like a 2-hour long movie at a certain point.
How long
I'm
was
pretty sure it is.
It's an hour and 40 minutes, which
It's almost
is like
that? The movie was entirely too long. Like honestly, I was like certain montages could have been cut. Certain scenes did not need to be in it. I was confused for about. You said it's an hour 40 minutes.
yeah.
I was confused for a good hour and 15 minutes of the whole movie. Like I did not enjoy Shaft like I thought I was going to. It was just, and I saw this quote that was like on the Wikipedia page because you know I had to do my little research on it. And this not reporter, what do you call it? A critic from the New York Times at the time. His name is Vincent Canby. He was like, it wasn't a great film, but it was very entertaining. And I was like, I'm kind of on that, but I wouldn't say very entertaining. It's just not a good film, but it had entertainment. Like there were parts that I was like, oh, yeah, that's happening.
Yeah.
But
I was moderately entertained. You know, it was like say like I went to a restaurant and I'm like super excited to get like this one thing, but that one thing is out for the day. So I go with my second best option that I still like, but isn't like as good as the main course that I was hoping for. That's kind of what I get from this movie. You know, like
Okay.
I was super excited going into it, and you know, it didn't deliver exactly what I thought, but I was still satisfied with the end product because I do love I just like a shootout. And I like action where, you know, and like we're starting off hot. Like this man got thrown out the window in the first 10 minutes, which is when I knew that it definitely wasn't going to be a comedy and that we were lied to.
Yeah, we were lied to.
I don't know. I just also enjoyed like how black it was as far as like in the beginning. He's a bad mother. Shut your mouth. I said, ooh. So that's what we're given. And then right after they were like, and can you dig it? I said, I sure can. I'm digging right now. I can dig it.
I mean,
The only note that I have for this movie, it literally says, what in the living hell is going on with the top of Bumpy's assistant's head, Willie? Now, I've seen a lot of hair, a lot of hair, and a lot of hair loss.
Brianna.
It looks like someone took a razor in the middle of his head and just went like this and kept his lining. Why was that acceptable in the 1970s?
And yeah, for those of y'all
that was the comedy.
His
that
hairline
was the comedy for the movie. Why?
That poor man. They really didn't have to do him like that, but they did.
I didn't want to write a note about it. I thought about writing a note about his problem, but I was like, no, I'm not going to do it. Nobody else is probably worried.
I'll do it for you. I don't know if it was a hair department choice or if his hair just grows like that. I know that male pattern baldness is a thing. I've never seen someone with a straight rectangle of hair missing in the middle of their head with a nice thick amount of 4C hair in the front for you to still have a lining. What you're not gonna do is tell me they couldn't have put something right there.
That's the 4C hair.
He also looked very similar to Bumpy. So at first, I was like, are we just now seeing the top of Bumpy's head? I don't remember the top of his head looking like that. And then they started talking and I found out his name was Willie and all these things. And I was just like, I mean, maybe there was something going on back then because the mustache was giving yucky and the hair wasn't. So maybe they just didn't have the things that they needed to have back then. That is my only note for the entire movie.
Yeah, the hairline was sad. I also thought that it was Bumpy. I didn't know who was who. I still don't know what his face looks like without thinking of Bumpy's face, truly. But I do know what that head looked like.
Whew. Them lights was on that scalp.
It was shining. It was, yeah. Yikes. However, I am excited to say that this is my first Gordon Parks movie. You know, Gordon Parks, the legend, the icon.
Well,
great for him.
Photography is great. Great pictures, lovely pictures.
The photography is good. I'm not gonna lie. I really like the intro when they were singing like Shaft, and then his wife calls him John Shaft. Like I really like how they were doing that. A lot of people do those type of shots now. And although I don't feel like I really needed to see it, the sex scene was shot very artfully. I would say
very nice.
It was a very artfully shot sex scene with the lights and the different things. But I mean, outside of that,
no, you know what was good? The music.
I do have the music. Isaac Hayes put his foot in that. The music gave it 0.5 points.
The Harlem montage, Soulsville. because I Googled it and I was trying to download it on my phone, but it's not available on Apple Music. But it was good.
It was really, I like the music.
The music was good. The sex scene, however, when she walked in and that man was butt naked on a fur blanket, I was like, I literally put on my notes, I know that thing stank.
Yeah.
Because why are you butt naked on a fur?
He couldn't have took a shower. He couldn't do anything. He just stank.
He went
naked
straight from work, undressed, put his bare ass
on the blanket.
And you know that blanket was probably expensive because it's fur.
I think hygiene was different in the 70s.
Stank.
No, okay, you're right, but there's still no excuse.
So are you mad that he was booty bone naked with his thing out on the couch, but that he was in the shower with the white woman?
Oh, I didn't like that either. I was like,
see, now I didn't even put those things together. But if we want to get deep, we can get deep. Because now I'm mad. How you gonna clean your ass for this white lady?
Which I have to say, hate me if you will, the simplicity of that scene was way better than the couch sex scene. I think most shower sex scenes, especially, that's that old shower door, that old textured glass shower door. I thought that was like, we love a good, like, artfully done. But outside of that, I don't know if I realized that he was naked or not, but she sounded very concerned for him. So I don't think it registered that he was naked, because her reaction was not that he was naked. She just like, oh my gosh, baby, are you okay? And like doing that. But that's just how some people like their meat.
Warm.
Straight from work, straight from the gym.
You know what? I actually do hear about that. Like some people like get like turned on by like the sweat, like work smell. It's giving like rugged, like pheromones type of thing.
There's a difference between pheromones and musk.
Some women like male musk. They really like it. It's like their thing. I don't think that area smells like the same type of musk as the rest of their body when they stink. But
not.
The 70s was a wild time. I'm surprised drugs were not involved in this movie. And
I'm also surprised, actually, now that you mention it.
I'm more than sure condoms were not being used. So the STDs was running rampant.
Okay, unfortunately, you're right. I fear. I am disgusted. Okay, well, on another note, I was kind of living for how he was pushing around that white man. Well, he wasn't like pushing him around, but he was definitely laying down the law. The detective.
Oh.
Like,
I didn't understand the relationship.
They had like a back and forth, but it kind of seemed like Shaft always won. He always got his way at the end of the day.
Did he win? He got called a nigger. Like,
I was very upset. But no, not that white man. The other white.
I know
man.
you talking about but even him, he picked up a black pen and he was like, "You ain't even that dark." Like,
right. But then he picked up the white cup and said, "And you ain't even white like that."
Oh wow, zinger! Like,
I was like,
okay. Are you like, good for you? Like, zinger.
Yeah.
How about this? I don't have anything to say.
I mean, I did like his outfit. He looked cool.
Are we talking about Shaft?
Shaft.
Yeah.
The turtleneck, the leather jacket,
Mm-hmm.
the popped collar.
Yeah. He knew how to dress.
It was giving what it was supposed to give for a cool guy.
He did all that and got shot.
Well,
A Tommy gun. He thought a pistol was gonna beat a Tommy gun. Do you know how arrogant you gotta be to be like, well, I'm gonna play my ace and you're shot? You
I
play
was
your ace.
confused about why did they go into that situation and none of the dudes that were with them had guns. What were you expecting? Like
the arrogance is beyond me. Like
honestly,
these people just called you the hard R.
hard R.
wait, but now I'm confused because so after that they went in there. Was that before when they thought they were getting like when Shaft was like set, like they thought that it was a setup, but like none of them knew they were supposed to get shot up? Are you talking about like the second time they went in there?
No, the first time when the daughter was just standing there and crying and like his two guys were in there with Tommy guns and he thought that by holding the other one in front of him that they wouldn't shoot at him. And then the one was like, no, they will. And he was like, well, we're just gonna have to risk that. And it's just like,
and then he got shot.
Do you not think bullets travels through bodies? Like you're getting, which I believe are Tommy guns. You're getting shot, but like, what is their AR-15s? Like, it's an automatic weapon, sir. You have a pistol. Be smart. Let's make better choices because now you just almost died trying to save this girl again. Like, corrupt for no reason. Why are you even corrupt? Like, why is this movie happening?
There was like no explanation for anything. There was no backstory. Like, who even is Shaft? We don't
vibes.
Like, he's just a man that has 3 girlfriends and maybe a wife who likes money. And how did he even meet Bumpy? And who the hell is Bumpy? And why are the mafia involved?
And why is he in Bumpy's business when you threw Bumpy's man out the window?
And why did they have to run up on him like that if it was just for like to save his daughter? Like, did it have to be?
And it's not even like this is the killer part. It's not even like Bumpy was like, you need to go save my daughter because you killed my man. It was like he didn't even care that the man died. He was like, I need you to save my daughter. I can give you some money. And it was just like, y'all were doing nonsense. This is nonsense. This doesn't make sense. There's no rhyme or like, and then for it to be like, oh, but he's a cool detective. I mean, I guess
he was.
Everybody in the 70s that looked like that was cool. I'm not really understanding why Shaft is so specific in that.
Yeah, maybe like it's for the time. Like, I feel like if we saw this in 1971, we would probably feel different. I don't know. I have seen a couple other blaxploitation movies. I saw Cleopatra Jones, I think, or maybe not. There was one. I saw one with Pam Grier, who was the star, and it was like similar. Like it's just like pow, 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 gun, 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 shoot, shoot. No explanation. So maybe that's just like part of the genre, and maybe that's why like all the movies are like Shaft, because Shaft was like the beginning, kind of. And I don't
know. It was just confusing to me. I was also confused at like the cafe scene, the Cafe Reggio scene, why the waitress was acting like that. Because I thought she was on drugs. I was like, why are you being weird? Why do you need a lemon peel? Or what did he have? He had an espresso. And she's like, I'm gonna get you a lemon peel. And I was like, girl, what are you talking about? Like,
wait, I don't remember that. I must have been looking at the phone stuff. I'm so curious.
I'm so confused. It just doesn't. So many parts of this movie just don't make sense.
I do agree with Bobby that this was a movie of the times because I feel like I definitely think Shaft has a lot of influence. You see a lot of the influence of Shaft in like especially Black like detectives type stuff. You see a lot of influence in it. So props to them for that. I also think this is like the only form of entertainment they had. And this was probably the first time they saw like a Black detective movie. and they were probably all over it. I think this for me is just really a case of this not being my generation and me being a millennial, because I feel like obviously there should be better movies than Shaft after Shaft comes out, because it should get better and better. But for me, I'm also just like, how is this acceptable in the 70s? Like, how is this? But I guess that is, I mean, I think that cool Black dude type thing. And I don't know if we had a whole lot of mafia movies ourselves. And so you get to see them win and strategize at the end. But even like at the end, he's yelling at people on the phone. Like, it's just, there were so many, even like when they were trying to make the Molotov thing, he didn't want to use gin. Maybe, I don't know alcohol, but alcohol lights on fire. A Molotov is literally alcohol.
Oh, yeah.
So is he saying not to use the gin because they want to drink it? Now, where are your priorities? Like, what are your priorities? You don't want to get rid of the gin because you want to drink it. So you'd rather use gasoline, which is way more dangerous to the person throwing the Molotov, because he was just pouring that stuff on there and it was just dripping everywhere. And then if you had gasoline as an option, why would you pull out gin in the front? Like, it was just
I
forgot about that. At one point, he said like that the gin wouldn't make it hot enough, is what he said.
I mean, I guess, but also like,
sure. But if you had gasoline, why would you not choose gasoline first?
Yeah.
I also feel like, you know, if he really wanted to make, so like he had it in his hand, then he lit it on fire, and I feel like gasoline catches on, it's very flammable, and I just feel like if it was in his hand, his entire hand would have burnt up, and it didn't.
Exactly. It's way more dangerous,
because it's more of like an explosion when you light gasoline on fire, and it just was not burning enough for me. And then he threw it in and it was still just like barely there, like the fire.
He threw it in and then ran after it. Like,
yeah.
I just feel like there were definitely better ways to go about it. And then after he threw it, I thought that he was just going to grab her and then jump right back out the window.
I thought so too. Yeah.
That would have been a much better plan, because then there'd be more stuff to do. Like, oh, now we have to figure out how they're going to get off from the building, and maybe like they fall off the ledge, and you know, like who's going to save them when they fall, and all kinds of stuff like that. Or maybe like they end up in the hospital and then the movie goes a whole nother way because now the police are involved. You know, like
we didn't need that because we were already pushing 130 and we didn't need no more extra spot lines. If that happened like minute 60, okay, we can push it a little bit further. But like, I don't even remember majority of the movie. Like, I remember bits and parts. I remember the beginning, but there's just, like Danielle said, there's just a lot in the movie that didn't need to be there. Him being with this Wahite woman, and her being in his bed, and them going back and forth calling each other shitty. Like, what's happening? The whole thing with the detective people, and it was just like, I understand the in general plot, and I understand that he was like supposed to be like a backwards type of detective and all that, and also trying to, you know, get them off the street for his detective work, et cetera, et cetera. But even from the beginning, it just didn't make sense. Who was following? Okay, so here's my question. In the beginning, they kept talking about two people following him. Was that from Bumpy's gang?
I think it was Bumpy. The guy that got thrown out was one of them.
So did they send him to John, or that's his name, right? John Shaft? Mm-hmm. Did they send him to him to ask him?
Yeah.
To rescue the daughter?
Yeah. I thought that they were going to bring him back to Bumpy.
Because that's a lot to ask somebody for a favor for. Like,
I'm saying, to kill someone ends up getting killed because you just couldn't make a phone call
on your rotary candlestick phone,
like this.
Right.
It was just.
I was confused at the point where Ben Beeford, or whatever his name is, when all his guys got shot. Did Bumpy's people shoot them?
I don't know. Wasn't really paying attention.
I don't know. I'm still kind of confused as to the whole shootout. All I know is that, no, I think it was Bumpy. It was Bumpy because Shaft was like, don't try no funny business, Bumpy. Otherwise the deal's over. And so then they get there and the Bumpy had planned the shootout, and then 5 of Buford's men ended up getting murdered because the truth is that Bumpy knew all along that it was the mafia that had his daughter, and he was just trying to kill them. That's what I think. That's what I think was happening. But
So I'm confused.
yeah, so Bumpy was just trying to get rid of him for some reason that I don't know of.
So was Shaft's sidekick, because that's the one that was like, you shot up my men, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like when they got into the thing. But then I feel like I could have sworn I saw, maybe I didn't, but I could have sworn I saw the sidekick in Shaft with the white detective. Maybe I did not see that. But I feel like I was very confused as to who he was, because at first he was screaming like Shaft set up his men to get killed, and then it ended up being Bumpy. And I was like, are you another detective? Are you just here? Are you just someone on the street that Shaft is working? Like, are you just someone that Shaft is like getting to know, or like is a partner in the underground part of this? Like, I don't, his introduction was so like confusing to me that for majority of the movie, if not until right now, I still don't know what his relationship is with Shaft.
Ben?
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, honestly, same. I kind of missed that whole reunion thing. Maybe I was still thinking about the phone or not, or maybe it just wasn't there.
Yeah, I have no idea. I was just confused.
Well,
And yeah.
do we have any highlights?
Well, I'll say it was interesting for me to like see not where, but like see New York in the time that my parents grew up in New York. I thought that was interesting. I was looking around to see like what streets they were at and like what landmarks are there, which they did not do a good job filming landmark, like the street shots for a little bit. Like some of the car scenes were very bumpy, were very like you can't really see what they're trying to show out the window.
Mm.
What car?
Probably weren't actually filming outside.
Probably not.
What car scenes?
Yeah.
That too.
Ma'am. They were like
I'm dead serious. I'm dead serious.
They were like showing like as if you were inside the car, but they were showing like the city.
So you're saying B-roll, not car scenes.
B-roll.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm thinking you saying like the cast were in the car. I was like, when was the cast ever in the car?
Oh, no.
It was during the montages, like the Harlem montage.
Yeah. So that was it.
Mm,
Really nothing
yeah.
about the movie though.
I thought that it was kind of cool that they were still able to like evoke a sense of nostalgia for a time and place that I've never been before. You know, like I've never been in New York in the 70s, so that was kind of interesting. I did turn on the subtitles at one point because at the very beginning I was like, I don't have no idea what anyone's saying. Like him and the detective Shaft and like the white man, they were going back and forth. And I was like, either I can't hear or y'all have
the audio was
I can't understand. Yeah, it was something, but the audio was just trash. I was watching on HBO Max for everyone that doesn't know. It was HBO Max. And so I had to turn on the subtitles. But other than that, I liked the scene where he threw the man out the window because that was exciting. I liked the costume, the music. That was a highlight. I liked the action, just general. I am thinking hard, but I really liked the action, like the shooting. Like once it got going, I was like, okay. Before we found out that he was cheating with a white lady, there was a scene where Buford was like mouthing off in his house and Shaft checked him and he still continued, and then the wife checked him and she said, well, not in this house, not here, you won't. And then Buford shut up, and I said, that's what I'm talking about. But now I think that might have been the light-skinned lady, so it turns out that was also an affair. So I've been lied to. But I liked it before I knew that it was an affair.
I really liked when Samuel Jackson played Shaft Jr. in the second one. I really liked that storyline. I thought it was funny. I thought it still gave good homage to the original, and that I like that what's his name? Robert Roundtree. I keep forgetting his name. Richard Roundtree. I like that he was in the second one. I like that he had multiple spinoffs of the original Shaft. There's like 3 Shafts. He goes to Africa. It's a whole thing. Mm-hmm. I love that that's what was happening back then for Black people. Although I'm not really sure how people feel about the Blaxploitation era. I feel like its props are given, but I don't know if people really like the era. I think it's just like an era of cinema that had to happen in order to get where we wanted to get.
I think there's a lot of controversy around Blaxploitation in general because of how women are perceived, and also it kind of like upholds certain stereotypes as far as like Black men being like the pimps, drug dealers, but like you're also the main character. But like it's also revered because in a way like the white man ends up getting like put down at the end of the day. So it's like we get a pimp and a drug dealer, but the white man loses and the woman gets beat to the side.
Yeah.
So
yeah, like I said, I really like the second one. I feel like it's unfortunate that the second one is better than the first one. I don't know if it's because of the comedic route they decided to go with Samuel Jackson. But there was a lot of references from the first one and the second one, which is just very interesting to me because the first one was not nearly as entertaining as the second one. So I'm happy that the first one happened because I like the new age Shaft they did. I would love to see them continue the franchise. And I'm aware that the first one had to have happened for that to happen. But I will not be watching this movie again.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there we have it. When did the second one came out? Oh, in 1972.
No. The second, so like
there's
the remake. It's not a remake, it's a continuation, but it came out in like 2016, between 2016 and 2019, maybe 2019.
Well, I see there's a total of 5 Shaft movies.
There's a lot of them.
4 or 5. Yeah, so there's Shaft, which is one that we just watched, and there's Shaft's Big Score, which came out the year after that. And then Shaft in Africa, which came out in 1973, and then Shaft by John Singleton that came out in 2000. And then Shaft again in 2019 by Kenya Barris.
Really?
It was funny. It was really funny. It was really good, and it still kind of had that like detective having to go into like not great places and do things, and still have some corruption. Obviously, it was way more modern, and I'm sure the one by John Singleton was just as good as the second one. But yeah, I think this is just a case of being from a completely different generation, and what is considered entertaining to me is not the same as what was entertaining back then.
Right. It also looks like there's a television series based on Shaft that was released as a series of TV movies, and they have 7 that were released between 1973 and 1974 on CBS.
Again, I'm going to assume this was the only thing people had to watch back then. They gave some sort of representation in movies, and us being able to be the detectives and stuff and not being like maids. And, you know, I definitely think it was something different. If it wasn't, we wouldn't have 3 billion movies of it. So
I truthfully do love that for us, you know, being able to at least get something out of it.
And they didn't have a white savior. He was very adamant about that, which, like you said, is something that is specific to probably Blaxploitation movies, which is cool.
Yeah. So that's positive. But do I dare ask about the lowlights? We already talked about the lowlights. It was
so funny. I don't. My low light.
they're just like
is what in the living hell is going on with the top of Bumpy's assistant, Wally. That's my low light. That's the only thing I have on this page.
No.
I'm not even joking. I'm not joking. That's the only thing I have on this page. Under other things is Isaac Hayes' music, and we need more intro songs with the characters' names.
That I definitely agree with. I could definitely see a superhero movie starting like how Shaft starts. And I would be okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
Shaft.
It was cute.
Yeah.
It was really cute, and it like kind of addressed the whole storyline. I feel like we don't see that a lot. We don't see a lot of theme songs in general for like TV shows and movies anymore. And I think that's a loss.
With credits either.
Yeah, that's a lost art for sure.
Very much. Because I love a theme song, you know, like singing along. That minute and a half max was always the highlight of my show.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You know? And I've heard Shaft, that specific like beat. I hear that a lot. You even hear that like what song? What is it? I think it's like the original. Well, this is probably a stretch, but like Divorce Court.
Oh my god!
Their music pattern, that dun 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 dun, that is like, I can see and hear similarities in how Shaft has trickled down into other stuff. I'm trying so here.
Funny. I'm really trying. That is the last thing I would have expected.
I'm trying to connect some dots and make the dots happen.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying that specific like chord and sound, you hear it a lot in court stuff, and you hear it a lot in detective like cop stuff.
Mm-hmm. Law and Order.
Dun, yeah. Dun. You hear, I'm just saying, it is a pioneer in that, and it's always, you see it reflected in like TV show like songs and stuff.
Mm-hmm. That is a good point. I think that's one of the coolest parts about doing this, like what we're doing, because like it's like we get to see the origins, and there's nothing better than that, really, regardless of how we feel about it. It's still kind of cool to see how influence matters and how like we really just truly do just like all borrow from each other like all the time.
They borrow from Black people. That is true.
Yes, specifically, yes. Them taking. So yeah, interesting. Okay, well, do we have any questions left unanswered, or should we just jump into the final ratings?
I will say that this movie was one of 3 profitable movies from MGM that entire year.
MGM did make them hits.
Well, they had, wait, what were the other 2?
I don't know.
Well,
I didn't do no research on that.
Yeah.
Let's find out.
Well, while you do that, Bree, do you want to go ahead and give it your hot combs?
I believe that the music gives it an extra 0.5 points. So I'm going to give it a 1.5.
Oh my God. Danielle?
Well, I can't rate it lower than one of the other films that we reviewed that I gave a low score.
Unfortunately.
No, I'm sorry. I can't rate it higher. I was
about to say, that is unfortunate that you think this movie is better than that one. That is.
I can't than that
one. Was that your Cooley hot? Oh, wait. Oh, it's already. Okay, hold on. I thought that I was going to spoil it, but then I remembered it's coming out before this one.
We are going to take, we're only going to give you the script that you need to have, like Tom.
Right.
You ain't getting the whole thing. You only get what you need to say on camera, okay?
Oh, shit.
So that's one movie.
She right, though. It come out before.
Yeah, it does. I can't rate it higher than that. So I'm going to have to give Shaft a 1.
God.
It didn't, I was confused. I was ready to turn it off after not even halfway through. And then I realized I can't do that because I have to watch it for this review. So I forced myself to watch it. Like you said, the music was good. The intro was good. The audio was terrible.
Really bad.
It was just bad. I was like, I thought it was just me. I was like, why is the audio weird? Like the music audio was great. The dialogue was bad. Anyways, I don't know. I can't give it anything more than a 1.
Well,
It's
okay.
really disappointed me. I can't even lie.
So yeah, you're right. The music, like I had my TV on like number 37 for the music. And then when it was time for the dialogue, I had to turn it up to like 74.
Yeah, it was
Crazy.
so quiet.
And then the music would come on again, and now I'm deaf. Like here. So I had to.
Yeah.
But I think based on the music, the intro, my own personal interest, I'm gonna have to give it a 3. A 3 out of 5. I know.
I love it for you. I've said more controversial stuff than that. I love it for you, and
I had a decent amount of fun. However, I will say there was a time when my DoorDash delivery came in the middle of the movie, and so I was honestly kind of happy to pause it and to go get my food. And then when I came back, I was like, "Oh, okay, let me hit play again." Okay, let me just finish it. Not only for the show, but also just for the sake of having watched it. So because I did find myself feeling a little forced at times.
Mm-hmm.
I had to knock it down a couple stars, but the music carried. If it wasn't for the music, who knows?
Yeah.
But the music in the last scene were the two memorable things for me. The little stealthy scene. You know, that was cute for what they could do.
Yeah.
And I thought it was well done. They kind of just ruined it for me when he went to the payphone laughing in people's ear. I was just kind of like, how about you get off the street because the police are pulling up and they will arrest you because you're Black. And he had it just like, he was like, because I don't think they knew he was working on the case in the way that he was. Like, they didn't know he was getting paid for it. So, like, it's not like what you're doing is completely legal. So the fact that, again.
He's a little too cocky.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's the times. I don't know.
Maybe this is just like what happened. Like, little boys just wanted to grow up and be like Shaft. So, like, they made something for the little boys, I guess.
Shaft is not the president. I don't think there was that many people trying to be Shaft. Like, he's not Obama.
Yeah, it's just interesting because like whenever I told my dad that we were gonna do this one, he was like, Shaft, yeah. And I'm like, okay, but you were born in 1960, so this makes sense.
Yeah, as a 10-year-old, probably ate that up. You know,
10-year-old boy living in a city,
ate it up in a movie theater.
Yeah,
ate it up.
No crumbs.
Mm-hmm. No crumbs. 2022, the whole cake is left. Like, it's not. It's not. Yeah. Honestly, like I said, for me, the 0.5 comes from the music and that end scene. I really, really try. I close my door and really try to isolate myself so I can watch these movies with my entire attention span. And I just feel like once I started doing crossword puzzles, I was out of it.
Oh no, not crossword.
It wasn't holding my attention, and I felt very much like Danielle of like, when is this movie over? Like, I looked up, there's still 30 minutes left. It was just, again, maybe it is an effect of our attention spans being a lot shorter and everything, but I also feel like you're kind of lying to yourself in 2022 if you still think this movie is the most top movie ever created.
That's a stretch. That is a reach. If someone says Shaft is their favorite movie,
I'm gonna be like, which one?
Right.
I'm gonna be like, why?
I just feel like, I don't, and it's not even that it didn't age well. I can't say that it didn't age well. I just don't think it was good from the beginning. Like,
yeah, I can understand that.
I think it was good at the time for the people who was watching it, but like, I don't think that in 50 years, if I rewatch Shaft, I'm like, I really hated that movie in 2022, but it's going off in 2060. Like, I don't think, I don't think in my head anything's gonna change about Shaft. I think it's just from a different generation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, all right. That's been another episode of Hot Combs and Popcorn. Thank you all for listening. Again, I've been Bobby.
I've been Danielle.
And I'm Bree.
And if you haven't already done so, please follow and subscribe to us on both YouTube and Apple Podcasts. throw us a like, share this episode, and leave in the comments below. Have you seen Shaft? Is it your favorite movie? And if it is, please tell me why. Please explain. Give us a full checklist because I want to know.
With bullet points.
Yes.
Bullet points.
Did you see it when it first came out? And if you did, props to you for even finding us.
You might not like this episode.
You might
keep it a buck.
You might not like it, but thanks for making it to the end. Okay, so let us know what movies or TV shows you want us to review next. And as you guys know, those streetlights are about to come on, so we gotta go. We'll see you next time and same place. Bye.